Okay. Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is That's a Crime, and I'm Jason Connell. On the show today, I'm alone. But there's a reason. This won't be as long of an episode. It's kind of an addendum to the last episode because it deals with an Apple AirTag. As soon as Sal and I wrapped last episode, which was man uses Apple AirTag to track down and kill person who stole his vehicle in 2023, I started getting more Google alerts and things about other crimes of this nature. Now, this one is not as negative. In fact, it's the opposite side of the coin. It has a better outcome. And rather than, do a whole big episode on it, I figured it kind of works in tandem with last episode, so I wanted to share it here and now. So, here goes. Today, I'll be breaking down the true crime story of the family uses Apple AirTag to track down and confront e-bike thief in 2023. Already a different tone. And I'll tell you right now, spoiler alert, no one dies. But it deals with this technology, Apple AirTag. And we went into a deep dive last episode, so I'll spare that this time. But it is those little devices you can get for $29, and you can track your things, whatever it could be. Most people probably track a suitcase, or their keys, or vice versa. Or they put it in their car, like our last crime. Or you could track a pet, which I've heard of people doing. Probably not the best idea, but you could if your pet gets out and about. I don't know. So a lot of things are probably coming in this vein because more people are tracking things with the Apple AirTag or another company. So I'm anticipating it becoming such a big thing. There could be a whole category in the crime division on that. But this one came up very recent. I read it today, and here goes. In March 2023, Johnny Erhman's e-bike was stolen from outside of her workplace in Orange County, California. Now, this being Johnny's main means of transportation for her 12-mile commute to school and work and home, and the fact that the electric bike cost $3,000, this was quite devastating to her. And listen, I've had a bike stolen, so I can really sympathize with her. I've also had a electric scooter, which I was always worried about. It was several $1,000s. Never had it stolen, but it was a concern, and it had tracking on it. And I currently have an e-bike, which is another concern. So I get it. Mine's not $3,000, but yeah, this is quite a bike, almost like a motorcycle or an expensive scooter. So Johnny also shared the following, that the bike's wheel and pedals had been locked and the battery was removed, but the bike wasn't locked onto a fixed object. Someone can pull up with a pickup truck and pick it up because they're not that heavy, by themselves or with someone else. So there's always that risk. But all is not lost because Johnny purchased an Apple AirTag for this very reason, to track her e-bike in the event something like this ever happened. See, I'm telling you. So after making the unfortunate discovery that her bike had been stolen, she began tracking it on the Apple AirTag on her device, I'm assuming an iPhone, and saw that it was on the move and notified police immediately. Perfect. You tell police and they handle it. Well, not so fast. Also, we learned last episode that with an Apple AirTag, you can't see it in real time. You see it when it's stationary and stopped because they want to prevent people from tracking people, which is kind of fascinating. We do delve into more of that on the last episode. But it's unclear of the timeline here. But at some point in time, it became a family affair. Johnny and her father, David, continued tracking the bike until it stopped at an apartment complex not far from their home. Interesting. The plot thickens. It was then David Erhman took the law into his own hands and stormed over to the home to confront the thief after finding the bike in the front yard. Whoo! According to Fox 11 News in Los Angeles, David shared the following. I yelled at him. I yelled at him. I'm grabbing my daughter's bike. The dude just stood there with this look on his face. I think the look was shock, like, how did you get my location? He then snatched the e-bike and, as he says, hightailed it out of there. So I give you kudos, David, for going over there and confronting what you have no idea what to expect, what's on the other side of that door. You go to steal something back that's yours, but man, very brave. And I'm also happy that no weapons were, brought into play. Nothing like that happened. No guns, knives, anything bad, thank goodness, was avoided. I'm glad that the thief just backed away, was shocked, and probably started thinking, when are the cops coming? David also stated that he thinks the Orange County Sheriff's Office didn't do enough after he and Johnny showed them the location of the bike and asked for their help. Now listen, I've been there. I had a very nice Trek bike stolen when I lived in an apartment in Los Angeles, notified the police, and they basically just said, hey, I'm sorry. And they gave me enough information to fill out a report so I could give it to my insurance company. They also shared that there was a wave going on at the time, and since mine was a Trek, there was a lot of them stolen in particular, and that's just how it goes. There's zero luck in getting that back. So I can understand their frustration, but even more so here because they're saying, here is the location. But, this is not the highest priority for a police department. And even if you give them the location, doesn't mean that they can just highball it over there, hightail it over there and hightail it over there. But nonetheless, it's pretty daring to go over there yourself and confront someone. I'm happy that this turned out good and the Apple AirTag succeeds and there's not a death of any sort. There was a crime. I'm not sure what happened to the thief, if they pressed charges. There's none of that information. This is so new. I mean, it happened last month, but the recoupment of said e-bike, the repossession of the e-bike, happened in the last couple of days because this just broke yesterday and I read it today. Now, a spokesperson for the agency made the following statement. As much as the convenience of technology plays a vital role in the quality of our lives, we want to remind our communities to utilize their local law enforcement services when they've been victimized by a crime instead of placing themselves into harm's way. And there's a lot of truth there. You don't want everyone going out, solving things on their own, getting into worse trouble. I mean, the last crime was very similar, but went a different way. We don't know what happened. There's still things unfolding. There's still a case, but someone was killed. Someone was killed because they were able to track them down. If that technology was not there, there's probably not a death. And maybe that vehicle resurfaces or is never seen again. I don't know. So as much as I love technology, I'm not rushing over to do something myself. I may stake it out, and get good intel for the police, but please use the police and be persistent. Get more information. Give it another day. But I got to say, I am happy for Johnny and David for getting the e-bike back so Johnny can continue on her 12-mile commute in style on her e-bike. And so there could be more of these, as I said initially, and we'll space them out. But look for more crimes with technology that people now have on their phones with little devices. This is only the beginning. And that covers the true crime story of the family uses Apple AirTag to track down and confront e-bike thief in 2023. So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to the That's a Crime podcast and the That's a Crime YouTube live channel. You can also really help us by giving the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast. And for all you listeners that enjoy sharing your thoughts, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcast, send us a direct message, or post a comment on any That's a Crime social media platform. We also highly recommend checking out our other podcast and visiting justcuriousmedia.com.